Hey there, Sagittarius. Welcome to your reading for the week of October 6th. You have this Yang energy card and this never-ending story. The Yang energy card is like the Ace of Wands. You know, it's a card of action and taking action. The never-ending story, I don't know, we're kind of like in a time where I feel people are like ending stories. And so it's a very common energy, not necessarily that card. I just, you know, a lot of the readings kind of go in this direction nowadays. So, you know, it could be a good time to like change your story, especially if you want your life to be better. I would be, you know, doing things to make that happen. You even your first two cards, you have two. You have the Ace of Swords and the Four of Pentacles wanted to come out together. You know, the Ace of Swords is a card of victory. It's a very good card. But it can represent like cutting something out or needing to cut something out so that you can have something better. And the Four of Pentacles is like holding on too tightly to the past. So, you know, there definitely could be a story that you need to change. I kind of feel like everybody basically has to do this right now because, you know, mostly because of Pluto and Aquarius, but there's other stuff going on as well. You know, Pluto went from Capricorn to Aquarius. And that is like the death of establishment, the death of the way things have always been. So, you know, we're in a time of great change. You have the Ace of Swords, the Four of Pentacles, the Page of Pentacles, and the Page of Swords in your first row for your current general energies. And so, again, I think that, you know, letting go of things that no longer serve you would be a good idea. There seems to be like a lot of opportunity for victory for you here, Sagittarius. You have the Ten of Pentacles right next to it. And so, I'm not saying this is going to be like super easy, but I do feel if you're putting work into anything that you want to have a victory in, then this definitely looks like success to me. The Ace of Swords also kind of says, like, again, don't be afraid of making a sacrifice. You know, we have the on this side we have this palm frond. On this side we have this olive branch. The palm fronds in the tarot represent needing to make a sacrifice or needing to basically let something go so you can have something better. And, you know, that's definitely coming up for you here. You have the Page of Pentacles. Page of Pentacles can be good news or communication. And just, you know, there's a lot of people in this reading. I mean, you have the Page of Swords, King of Cups, King of Swords, Queen of Swords, Knight of Pentacles, Page of Wands, right? So there's a ton of people showing up in this reading, and you could find yourself being very popular this week, or there could just be a lot of movement or a lot of things to get done. I don't know why I feel that way. That's not really what the Page of Pentacles represents, but, you know, again, I read intuitively, so I feel like there's a lot of stuff that you're getting done this week. You know, it just kind of feels like a busy time. And it could involve a lot of people. I feel like it's good. You know, Ten of Pentacles is like setting up an establishment. So again, the Ace of Swords can be cutting out something that's been established in your life, but the Ten of Pentacles could be, you know, I consider it to be a foundational energy. It's like working on that, a solid foundation so you can build something stronger above it. And a lot of you definitely could be doing a lot of those activities at this time. You have the Page of Swords. Yeah, very good energy for you for like 8 years at least, the next 8 years or so, and, you know, really until like 2033 when Uranus leaves Gemini officially. Uranus will leave Gemini in 2032 for a short period of time. It will go into Cancer. Then it's going to retrograde back until 2033 when it officially moves into Cancer. What I would say is I would be taking advantage of that Uranus and Gemini energy, as I've said to you many times before. You know, it's your opposite sign. And so it's very important that you kind of like listen to your ideas, your dreams, your daydreams, any random inspirations that you get, anything, you know, even anywhere in your life where you can kind of like go against the grain. I would say don't be afraid of being a rebel, right? It's like Uranus in Gemini is like kind of a rebellious energy. Now, I'm not saying be a jerk, of course, but what I am saying is don't be afraid of going against the grain. If you feel like doing something different, explore it. Page of Swords wants you to be curious, wants you to embrace mystery. There's going to be a lot of this for you. It's like one of the major things that you're dealing with for the next many years here, Sagittarius. So I would be taking advantage of that energy, and I am. So I'm not even a Sagittarius, right? I am a Gemini moon, though, and so I am also, you know, doing all of these things that I am saying because, you know, just could be a lot of benefits in doing it. With the Ace of Swords and the Four of Pentacles, you have the Six of Pentacles. Yeah, Six of Pentacles is a great energy here because it kind of says, like, you don't necessarily have to make any big leaps Six of Swords, I look at as a card of just planting seeds, trying a little bit, right? So if you come up with any ideas to like move in a new direction or to reinvent your life or to be spontaneous or innovate your life, right? You can just try a little bit, see how it goes. And if it grows, then keep going, right? Six of Pentacles says, pay attention to what's growing in your life. And then when something grows, move in that direction. It's very simple energy to work with. So that's what I would be doing. With the Page of Pentacles, you have the Nine of Wands. Nine of Wands is about boundaries. I think it would be a good week for boundaries. Again, I felt like a very busy energy, which that's not even what the Page of Pentacles represents, but that's what popped into my head. And so again, there's a lot of people here. You might have to be very picky in like who gets what time, right? And there's nothing wrong with saying no, right? So if you have to say, no, I can't spend time with you, or no, I can't listen to your problems right now, I have my own to deal with, whatever the case may be here, Sagittarius, I would definitely stick up for your boundaries. It's also an amazing card for experimentation, so it definitely seems to be a good week. The Nine of Wands is one of my favorite cards for just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, right? And maybe that's what you're doing with that in the Six of Pentacles. Sorry, choking on my own spit. With the Page of Swords, you have the Star. The Star is a card of hope, faith, and renewal. Star is kind of like wish fulfillment as well sometimes. So some of you could be making a wish, and Star is about having a focus. There's this star right in the middle of the card here, and that star is like having a North Star, having that guiding light in your life, that thing that you follow through on, that thing that you see through to the end, right? And that's what I would work on with the Star card, is like having that main vision. What's really funny is actually, I think in the October readings, I think Gemini had a reading that was all about focus. And yes, I know that you're not a Gemini, but again, your opposite sign energy is like expanded right now because Uranus loves Gemini. And so it's going to you're going to feel that energy very strongly. And that's why I'm talking about it. And so I would pay attention to that. Any innovative ideas, this is Aquarius energy, the star. So, and we have Pluto in Aquarius. So anything you can innovate, anything you can do differently or be more spontaneous with, like work or business, even your love life, pretty much anything, I would be working on that because it's probably going to bring blessings. The star brings blessings into our lives, and I would, kind of work on that. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have the Smoke and Mirrors card and this Willing Release card. Yeah, it's like we can't... I think that we have to look for evidence. The tricky thing about being alive right now, I will tell you, is definitely that we had Neptune in Pisces. Neptune will retrograde back into Pisces this month, but we also have Pluto in Aquarius and several other things going on. Saturn with Neptune as well. That's a more serious energy. It's like with Neptune and then, in Pisces and then Pluto in Aquarius, you can't just work on something on a hope and a prayer, necessarily. There has to be evidence, right? So Smoke and Mirrors. It's like if you're just working on a business or your career and you're just hoping that things will happen. Now, we should hope. We should be feeding that good energy, right? But we should also look at the evidence. Six of Pentacles. Are things actually growing with what I'm working on? Or is this just a fantasy, right? It's not really, sometimes I say this stuff and I think people think it's bad, but it's not really bad because the fantasy side is actually good with Neptune and Pisces, because if there was ever a time where you could accomplish your big impossible dream, it would be right now. The trick is we just have to look for the evidence. We have to kind of bring things down to earth instead of just living it in our heads, right? And that seems to be a big theme for fire signs this week. And so I feel like I don't really feel bad about this Smoke and Mirrors card, but I do feel it's saying hey, you're working on things, but are these things that you're working on, is there an actual result that goes behind it? And if there is, great, keep doing it. But if there isn't, then either you need to change, right? Again, we don't necessarily have to quit something that's not producing a result. We can just try something else and see if it works. Or maybe we do need to release it and be willing to let something go so we can, actually find something that works. And I would pay attention. You have the Ten of Pentacles, the Eight of Cups, and the Seven of Cups. The Ten of Pentacles is everything you want and desire. So Neptune and Pisces. Neptune and Pisces, plus Uranus will be retrograding into Taurus next month in November. So we are all going to be, triggered to create more freedom, to create a good life, to create a life that's worth living. And that's kind of like what the Ten of Pentacles is about. It's about doing things to, create a life that's exciting, that's worth living, and all that other good stuff. And, again, that's basically what I would do with the Ten of Pentacles, is make sure you're doing things that fulfill you. But with the Star card, this right here kind of needs to be a vision. We need to know what the Ten of Pentacles is before we can start working towards it. And so I would, again, I would write it down. It's like one of my favorite activities of all time. I tell people is to like write down everything you want and desire in life and figure out what your dream life is, right? Now, are you ever going to really have it all? Maybe not. But if you start working towards it, it'll be worth it. So, you'll probably create a lot of improvements if you make it a focus. And that's what I would do with this card. I actually feel, like I said at the beginning of the reading, that it would be a really good time for you to focus on that foundational, that bottom level stuff, like setting things up, making sure you're building something on concrete, not sand, right? Like I said, Neptune and Pisces, we can build things on sand, basically, that doesn't have a foundation if we don't pay attention, right? So I would just pay attention with that card. You have the Eight of Cups. Yeah, the whole thing is about, you're clearly cutting something out. Ace of Swords, Four of Pentacles, willing release. Eight of Cups is about walking away from things that no longer serve you. And I feel that, again, we are kind of in a time where this is what we're being asked to do anyway. We just had two eclipses, one in Pisces, one in Virgo. Eclipses ask us to let things go. So, you could be letting something go. The trick with the Eight of Cups is that, he doesn't know if he's going to find fulfillment or not. He's walking away from those Eight Cups, and, those Eight Cups do provide him with something. So some of you could be taking the risk of walking away from something that does have a little bit of security. You have the Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups is about being spoiled for choice, having a lot of options. But he needs to pick something and bring it down to earth. Again, a very common energy for fire signs right now. So again, you could have this dream, but you need to do things to bring it down into reality. I also feel very good about this for you in particular, Sagittarius, because you have the Page of Wands here at the end of the reading. I'm always saying to you that it seems to me like in the middle of this year, maybe somewhere around there, you are returning to your just Sagittarius self of being willing to explore, being willing to experience variety. The best thing we can do with the Seven of Cups is give ourselves a variety of options, is to, kind of increase our own chances. And I'm always saying to you that, and I know it's annoying, so I apologize for repeating myself, although I don't, because it's very important for you, Sagittarius, to create your own luck, right? And so what I mean by that is imagine you were starting a YouTube channel. It's I would also be posting your videos on Instagram and TikTok, right? It takes 2 seconds, right? Because you never know. It's if you give yourself more chances, maybe you get lucky on TikTok and you become famous, right? That's just one example. There's a million other things you can do in your life. But that's what I mean by giving yourself more chances, is there are things you can do to increase the odds. And that's what the Seven of Cups is saying to me, to you. And all your readings have been talking about increasing your luck. With the Ten of Pentacles, you have the High Priestess. Yes, very good, because the High Priestess is unlimited potential. Most people read her as intuition, mysteries, things like that, which she does represent, but she has no roof over her head here, and she represents unlimited potential, or, kind of realizing your potential, your full potential, and that's basically what I would be doing with the High Priestess, is it's almost like you need to push your limits here. It's funny because I have, on my screen back here, I have Tapping with Brad. I didn't switch my screen, I just noticed. But the video I was watching with Tapping with Brad was set yourself free to achieve more, That's what you need to do. Maybe you need to go watch that video on Brad's channel, Tapping with Brad, and go do some tapping or something so that you can reach your full potential, right? With the Eight of Cups, you have the Empress. Yeah, it's the good life. Ten of Pentacles, Empress, Star. These are very good energies. The Empress is living a good life, and I feel like this reading is encouraging you to create that good life. It's maybe you don't have it yet, but I feel like you're getting close. She doesn't really have to struggle either. I feel the universe is trying to get you to stop struggling, because, how many times have I said to you not to settle, right? I feel like that is the theme for Sagittarius for, this year, 2025. you get the Eight of Cups, which all the time, I'm pretty sure I've titled like 10-year readings, your past readings, don't settle, right? And the Empress, that's really the energy I'm getting off of her is, she isn't settling for less. She's living her best life. And I want to encourage you to nurture that. With the Seven of Cups, you have the King of Cups, which you have twice here, going this way. And so the King of Cups is about your emotional state. He is sitting in the middle of the ocean, and he has very deep emotions, but he has explored how he feels about things. Remember what I was saying about getting the evidence. That could be part of it, right? It's like if something doesn't feel right, maybe you shouldn't do it. I think the problem with society sometimes is that maybe it's school, maybe it's our parents, I don't know, that make us think that we have to do things that we hate or we don't want to do. And I really feel like part of this reading is saying maybe it's time for Sagittarius to stop doing things that they're not emotionally connected to, or to stop doing things that you hate. Next, here, you can't make this up. In the area of messages from your future self, you have this card. It says, you can do hard things. It says, it is not as impossible as it may feel. High Priestess. You have this card that says, time to celebrate. It says, cultivate an air of celebration today. Didn't I say something about you needing to feed the good energy or whatever? I don't remember what I said. But, again, I think that, you need to do more things that make you feel good, really, is what this is saying. I also feel it's asking you to believe in yourself more, for sure, with that High Priestess, unlimited potential. We are in a time of unlimited potential. I always say this, but it's very, very important. Having Neptune and Saturn in Pisces at the same time. They both left Pisces at the same time, almost within a month of each other, basically. They're both going to leave almost at exactly the same time within a month of each other, January and February of next year. We really have a chance at the end of the year here to do something that's impossible, and I encourage everyone to do it. Now, the beautiful thing is you don't have to start with something huge. You can take a very tiny little step. All the universe is asking us to do is take that tiny little step towards, getting to our goal, whatever it is. I always say, imagine if you wanted to create the next NASA. It's like if there was ever a time you could do it, it'd probably be right now. One small step is you can launch rockets in your backyard, right? It's that might sound ridiculous, but you're getting started, right? So that's how you have to think about it. You have an impossible dream, but it's what is the smallest little piece that you can get started with? You have the King of Swords, King of Cups, Three of Pentacles. King of Swords says you know more than enough. So I feel King of Swords is knowledge and wisdom. It basically says you know everything you need to know to get started. So I would. You have the King of Cups again. I do feel for some of you this could be a person, although I feel like this reading is all about you, really. I do feel it's a very busy week for whatever reason. There could be a lot of moving parts, a lot of dealing with people. People might be wanting your attention more, things like that. But I also feel, more importantly than that, I feel the King of Cups is encouraging you to kind of work on your emotional energy this week to make sure that you're staying positive and, making sure you're putting yourself in positive situations and, all that other good stuff is what I would do with the King of Cups. You have the Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles says teamwork makes the dream work. So anything you can do to work together with other people who support your vision would be a good idea. As always, Sagittarius, I think you need to be the leader. He is the one that ultimately did the work. These people came in a support position. So if people, if you're needing help or whatever, I think it's fine to ask for help, but I would also make sure they don't take over the project or whatever is going on here. You also, get these messages of showing off. He has put his work on display. And so he has done it's a card of quality work. And I feel a lot of you could be getting more attention for the work you do. Yes, with the King of Swords, you already know that you need to walk away from something here, going this way right here. And maybe you already know where you are settling in life. So, don't settle. With the King of Cups, you have the Ten of Wands. Ten of Wands is about carrying a heavy burden. And I think this has come up for you before as well, where it seems to me like Sagittarius could be carrying some responsibilities from other people. And maybe that's what you need to focus on or clear out is, if you're doing too much for other people, that could be getting in the way. I do feel like you're very close, though. He's almost at his home. He's carrying his harvest, so he is about to have a harvest. And, some of you, if you've been doing the work, this could be a harvest. With the Three of Pentacles, you have the Four of Wands. Yeah, Four of Wands is your commitment to work. Sure, this could be marriage. I wouldn't really say this is a love reading. It could be, love is always available to you, but again, I think this is bigger picture. Especially the star is a big picture card. It's like, bird's eye view, right? And the Four Wands would be about you committing to something that you can do. Four Wands is also freedom, and Uranus going into Taurus next month is going to push pretty much everyone to create more freedom, or to set themselves free from something, and you definitely could be doing that. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this meant to be card and this releasing blocks card. Yeah, it's like something is meant to be in your life. Maybe there are blockages in the way, and it is an excellent time to release blockages. We just had that eclipse in Virgo. We have the South Node in Virgo. That Virgo energy is great for, and there's many other things as well, I think, that are just great for working on blockages or releasing blockages. So that's something you could focus on. You have the Queen of Swords, the Page of Wands, and the Knight of Pentacles. Queen of Swords is about clarity. She has clouds only halfway up her body here on this card, and she is seeing clearly for the first time. So a lot of you could be getting clarity on the future. You could be seeing the future more clearly in your life, and I feel that would be very good with this energy. You have the Page of Wands. Page of Wands is about going on an adventure, kind of like exploring, and I feel that you are kind of getting back to this like exploration, Sagittarius, optimism, energy. And, but I would like nurture that energy with the Empress. The Empress is very good at really taking care of the things she cares about. So, that's pretty much what I would do with that card. You have the Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles, I feel progress here. You're making progress. Maybe you can see it. It's like maybe if you look at your life, if you think back to like May or June, maybe things are looking up a little bit more since that time. I think Sagittarius, we've talked about it before. I think you've had a tough several years, and it's like now you're finally able to make progress. And if you're not, I would do something to make progress, because you will. And that's what the Knight of Pentacles wants us to do. With the Queen of Swords, yes, you have the Knight of Wands. Again, same thing as the Page of Wands. Again, just being more adventurous, spontaneous. I would be open to those spontaneous opportunities that come your way at this time. You have that Ace at the beginning. Aces, sometimes, they're not really a spontaneous opportunity, but they can be a random opportunity that enters into your life. So, you might be getting some random work opportunities, or, pretty much anything else, and I would be paying attention to those opportunities. With the Page of Wands, you have the Six of Swords. Yeah, improvements, like we said with that Knight of Pentacles. The Six of Swords is like finally moving on to calmer shores, finally making progress and pushing ahead. I feel like this guy here is a guide. He represents like a guide, or your ancestors, or whatever you believe in. And I feel like you are, like, the universe itself is kind of leading you forward here. The trick with the Six of Swords is this woman and the child in the boat, they have nothing on them but the clothing on their back. And so they are completely releasing their past. And I feel a lot of you could be kind of like letting go of the past, or it's like they are completely starting over in some ways. I'm not saying you're like starting from zero or anything, but I do get that feeling that some of you could be feeling like you're starting over on something. With the Knight of Pentacles, you have the Eight of Wands here. The Eight of Wands is quick movement forward. Again, I think all three fire signs had this card today in these readings, so it could be a time of quick movement. The Eight of Wands, funny enough, is a lot of communication, right? I would, if I were you, I would definitely be putting up boundaries with people this week, because it just seems like one of those weeks where people could really be trying to get a hold of you, or get your attention. Now, some of those people, it will obviously be a good thing. Some of those people, maybe not. You have this tortoise card that says, slowly but surely getting ahead. The Knight of Pentacles is a tortoise. The Knight of Pentacles is the only knight in the tarot that isn't moving. But coming up in the good stuff, it would say that you are probably finally making progress towards something. So there you go. You have this desk card that says, pay attention to your work. It seems like a work reading to me. Even if you're retired, you could be working on a project in your own home, or something like that. So yeah, that doesn't really surprise me at all. I feel a lot of you could just be paying attention to your work. You have this problems to be resolved card. Yeah, this is definitely the challenge right now. I feel that there are, it's like the thing about the end of the year here is I don't really feel it's bad, but one annoying thing I will tell you is that we have Mercury going retrograde in November. We have Uranus retrograde, Neptune, Saturn. It's like the little little tiny things that you blow out of proportion. Like, I would make sure that if you're trying to do something, and if a little obstacle comes up, don't turn it into a big obstacle, right? Just work past it and you'll be fine. You have this chair filled that says someone new is entering into your life. Again, there is a little bit of love here, and what I'm wondering is if this is like something that it's like not really starting this week, but maybe someone is entering into your life this week. Not that you're necessarily going to start the relationship or whatever, but it's more like they're kind of like entering into your energy. You have this tower that says solid foundation, success with effort. That's what we talked about the entire time. I would be focusing on like the bottom level of the things that you're starting on, making sure that you're really doing things the right way, and whatever you're working on, that's going to be important. But pretty straightforward stuff here, Sag, as usual. So thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a like and a comment down below. It really helps me out. And definitely enjoy your week.